Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Jason.
And this is Ghosts and Bears, the only podcast where we bring you the actual ghost stories
With the actual history.
in the actual place. On this episode of Ghosts and Bears, we're off to the museum, where we're going to visit the people who, well, never quite leave, coming up on Ghosts and Bears. Hello.
Hi.
Hope everyone's doing well.
Yes, I hope all of our listeners are doing well.
We're doing it again. We are literally recording this at the very last moment.
Yeah, so technically it's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day from yesterday.
Yeah, technically, well, it's today, but tomorrow will be yesterday.
And I was reflecting on what we do for people we love. And I will tell you, for Jason today, I folded 2 loads of laundry and put them away and made a lovely dinner. And for me this morning, he brought me coffee in bed and warmed the car before he left so that I would have a nice warm car to drive to work in.
Yeah, because it was actually frozen. Isn't that interesting?
But my point is, that is actually what love looks like.
That's very true.
So happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
Everybody out there.
February 14th.
We've had pretty busy last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We've been doing all kinds of stuff around here and getting rid of some more stuff, buying and selling cars, as always.
Of course. I keep them going and flipping.
So what is in the stable now? We have a white Prius.
Yeah, brand new white Prius.
And a white MX-5.
Yep, the 100th anniversary.
And a black
Toyota Tundra. And a black C-Max Energy, which is a plug-in hybrid. It's
very exciting. And
so 2 black cars, 2 white ones. It's kind of thinning the drive.
I can almost guarantee by the time we record again, in 3 weeks,
brand new Corolla should be here.
Well, no, I'm just going to say all the cars will be changed.
Maybe. Yeah, because
most likely.
I literally sold 3 and bought 2 in like 2 weeks.
And we're going to maintain, I think, a level of 4. That's
4 to 6.
No.
I already have a line.
4.
I already have a line on another potential buy.
No.
Another potential flip.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah.
Stop it.
It's impossible to stop.
The Jason train rolling on through town. Doot, doot. We also went to our very first Super Bowl party.
Yeah, I loved it. And
thank you, Brad, for that. Brad and Tiana.
It was so much fun. I loved it. Really enjoyed it.
We both won money.
Yeah, we won 2 huge pots, so I'm not going to complain.
We had great food. We hung out and watched the game. I sort of understand football a little more now.
I was hoping for the Eagles because they were the underdogs. And there's a lot of controversy with that hold, the pass, and, because it was tied up. So there was only about a minute left.
I literally don't even know.
Of course,
the guy kicked something and then he won.
Of course, the Chiefs, basically burn the time down with their what is it, the huddle?
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever you want to call it. Timeout.
I thought it was the Boston Mud Hens versus the Minnesota Whales.
I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. But, some feedback is that it was a lightly played game. There wasn't as many, interceptions. And
what, have you been reading stuff online? Because you don't care about this.
Oh, you presuppose that I don't.
No, I know you don't. Literally, in the 6 years we've been together, you have never once mentioned football.
Well,
not even once.
I don't have to mention absolutely everything that I love. Not that I necessarily love football, but I did get right into it because, ironically enough, in high school, that was my strength, was football.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at me that way. You're bizarre.
I'm laughing. This is hilarious.
Oh, well.
And what else did we get up to? We
were on several road trips to do some ghost stories we've heard.
For our patrons. Yeah, our patron-only show.
So we were actually able to get out there and do 3 road trips it was.
Yeah. And we recorded
full disclosure, we
episodes.
do have to sometimes pre-record, right? Because we lead busy lives.
For ghost stories we have heard, yeah, we absolutely do.
We do have a pretty cool upcoming event this weekend. We're getting to see 3 of the Star Trek Next Generation.
There's a bunch of interesting people. Like, I don't know a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't think the Next Generation people are even the biggest stars who are going to be there.
But Data will be there.
Yeah. Dr.
Will
Crusher.
Riker, Dr. Crusher, Commander Riker. But yeah, it'll be fun. And so that's upcoming. That's this weekend.
I'm going to be on a panel with, I think, 3 other people, and we're talking about messages from the dead. And that's where we're going.
Fascinating.
So, yeah, the lady who put it together, Lydia, she said, I can't pay you, but I can get you free passes for the event. And Jay and I were like, we're there.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we went to a concert. We went to a symphony concert on Saturday. You surprised me with that.
Well, Paul, my buddy, who's the principal tuba player for the Vic Symphony, suggested it, and it was a lot of fun.
It was great.
And we
was
took him
really
out for
good.
beers afterwards, which he really likes, and I think he likes hanging out with us. But yeah, it was.
He needs new friends.
Yeah, well, he's a busy guy. Yeah. What was it? It was a unique concert because I believe it was called. Oh gosh, I can't remember.
That's all right.
But it really did have varied symphonic pieces, which was cool.
Varied, yeah.
It was very different, and it was tons of fun.
There's
and
even
honestly,
there was
the
a polka
cellist
in there.
The cellist was spectacular.
He was really good. He made noises coming out of that cello. I didn't think were. You know how like Mariah Carey does whistle notes that only dogs can hear? He did that with the cello. He was
hitting
amazing.
into violin like really
like
high.
Harmonics.
Yeah, he was full into the harmonics.
Yeah.
And I don't know how his left hand was able to play like that for minutes. Just the whole piece was him soloing.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
And I could see his hand cramping up because anytime he had a short break, he was really trying to loosen it up. But I mean, this was exceptional playing.
So this was our weekend. We went to a symphony concert and then a Super Bowl party. This is what we do. So yeah, it's been good. It's been busy. We've been having a lot of fun with that, and now kind of the New Year's picking up, and we were chatting with Alex and Chris today about the upcoming TV show. Alex is in charge of putting it together.
Because we're pretty excited.
He's the guy with the eye for visuals. So
guy with the eye.
I said, if you can do the putting of the episodes together, Jason and I will do them. Just tell us where to be and when.
Treat me like a mindless monkey.
We're just talent.
And babbling baboon.
Gibbering gibbons.
A chump chimp. Amongst other things. And the boys are good. Randy is good.
Moby
is good.
Moby, poor Moby. So I decided. So full disclosure, Moby has a real fear of the groomers, and I had taken him to PetSmart because it was the only groomer who said they'd take him.
Gosh,
and it cost $70.
He ran,
and he pretty much had a nervous breakdown. Like they phoned us and said, "He's done. You need to come and get him now." He was like foaming at the mouth.
It's so funny because we were trying on clothes, and he was trying on these clothes, and it's almost as if he knew that it was time for grooming because. Out of absolutely nowhere, he just bolts it on. He
turns
for the door.
a 180 and goes for the door. You actually had to go chase him.
Speed! I had to run.
So funny. He went straight for the door, and he loves PetSmart. It's the land of smells.
Yeah, he loves the PetSmart.
He thinks it's a buffet.
Yes, he can't stop. He can't stop smelling everything in sight.
So because of this, I then had a very nice person come in who is a mobile groomer. But she was $170.
Yeah, it's expensive.
That was a lot of money. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I spent $40 and I got from this very nice lady these professional dog grooming clippers, and she just wanted to get rid of them. So this past weekend I thought, okay, his fur is getting too long again, because the problem is we have burrs in our backyard. So his fur is getting too long. I'm going to trim him. Even though I don't know what I'm doing.
So now his nickname is Patches.
Shut up.
I saw him and oh my goodness.
I warned you before you got home.
Holy.
I shaved the top part of him, and then I'm like, oh, the clippers are getting kind of, full of fur. So I popped the head off the clippers, but I didn't do it right. I just pushed the black release and tugged. Apparently I shouldn't have done that, because I then spent the next probably 45 minutes trying to get the clipper head back on. Googled, went on all these sites. Nothing was going to tell me what to do. So I gave up, and I gave Moby a bath, which is what I was going to clip him and then give him a bath. Gave him a bath, and he looked horrendous. Like, it looks so bad.
Yeah, I came home and he didn't
It
look very
looks
happy.
so
He
bad.
was vibrating.
He was pink in some areas and very furry in others. And then finally, so the next day I said, Jay, like, we have to do something. We can't leave the dog like this. I don't know what to do. And so Jay took the clippers, and in a full minute, maybe it took you fixed the clippers.
Yeah, it was still only about a minute.
Yeah.
I saw the problem immediately.
It's because you're weird. It was
Well,
very
it's just
annoying.
the autism. I see patterns.
It's
chaos.
good. I'm happy. Well, it was chaos in my mind. Anyway, I did get the rest of the dog clipped.
Yeah, he looks a little less patchy.
He looks less patchy. Am I going to say he looks great?
No.
He does not. Is he ready for the runway? He is not.
No, but you know.
But will he not bring in as many burrs and get food stuck in his
better.
little beard? And he is better. He's a lot better. So, yeah. He was very nervous with me trimming around his butt. I can't imagine why.
Huh. Well, one would wonder. So yeah, our ghost story today is ironically enough from Vancouver, which is where we're heading this weekend.
We
So,
are. And we're going to be doing
Yeah.
some more recording over there.
Yeah, that will be true.
Yeah.
So,
We recorded this one earlier on a previous trip. And it's actually 2 stories. Yeah, you're right. It's 2 stories. The Vancouver Art Museum,
yeah,
which used to be the law courts.
that's right.
And then ironically, the Police Museum, Vancouver Police Museum, which used to be the Coroners Court. So when there was a really bad murder or whatever, the bodies would go to this coronary court, to this, whatever they call it, actual thing. It's in the story. I won't give too much of the history. But yeah, it's a pretty weird place. And
It totally is, yeah.
I was surprised when we went there, when we were writing the book, when I wrote Vancouver's Most Haunted, available in all fine bookstores near you and on Amazon. When I wrote Vancouver's Most Haunted, we, of course, went to all these places.
Yeah.
And what surprised me about that place was how close it is to the Lower East Side, which is basically, it's the saddest place in the whole wide world.
It is now. Yeah.
It
It was bad before.
It
but
was bad before,
now
but
it's exceptionally.
It's just a lot of people, homeless people, just, they have nothing. They're literally camping on the sidewalks. They're shutting down all of those hotels where they used to house people because they're so bad.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised how close the Vancouver Police Museum is to that.
Yeah. Pretty much is almost a block over.
But it makes sense. That used to be downtown Vancouver.
That's right.
Gastown, which I'm sure we will cover on our podcast, that really was the first downtown Vancouver. So this place we're talking about is not that far away at all.
No.
Definitely within walking distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So both pretty wild places, though. Pretty interesting places.
Absolutely.
So
it was an interesting thing to go over because, you know, like I said, I sold the MX-30, which is
we're back to cars.
why it
Brace
happened.
yourselves.
So, you know, I list the little Yaris on the Friday afternoon after the MX-30 was just auctioned, and that was sold on the Saturday, and same with the Yaris.
Yeah.
So, I kid you not, I don't know how the universe aligned. We're heading over because we have a booking on the 11 a.m. so that we can go to pick up the car from Key West Ford. And I listed the little Yaris 3 o'clock, I think it was, in the afternoon. This guy literally phones me at 10 and says,
I want it.
I want your Yaris.
Yeah.
I want it. No questions
Yeah,
asked because
yeah.
it's perfectly clean, no accidents,
Yeah.
absolutely
yeah,
mint.
Yeah.
And full service history, bought locally, all the rest of this jazz. And he said, but the only thing is I live in Burnaby. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of handy because I'm actually coming over to Vancouver tomorrow.
And I will be in.
And I said, I'm going to be at Key West Ford in New Westminster. And he said, that's impossible. I literally live 3 minutes away from that. And I'm like, oh. I said, well, then it happens to be the case. And he said, no, yeah, I'm going to Arizona for a full month Monday. So the only way this deal could happen is literally tomorrow. And I said, yeah,
It all
not
came
joking.
together.
So the dealership was shocked because I literally take the plates off the Yaris, put them on the C-Max,
and then
he uses Key West Ford's insurance guy to transfer the Yaris into his name.
once again, another dealership offered Jason a job.
Yeah, they were like, They've never seen that before, ever.
No, because it's crazy.
But yeah, gone. And
what I do during all of this is I bring my e-reader and I drink the complimentary coffee and I just wait.
You just wait.
I do. They give me weird looks. Like some of the staff are like, "Hey, can I help you, sir?" Nope.
No, not interested.
I'm literally along for the ride. So
yeah, it was in and out, which was kind of nice because, you know, it just was only one car to bring home.
Yeah, and then off we went and recorded the museum stories. And
the museum. It's
great.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I love Van, and it was a rainy day. It was cool. I hope that the weather's a bit better this weekend, but like it's been cool this week. Lots of wind.
Oh, crazy windy here. Yeah.
Wind.
The nice thing was
this morning, the car was like covered in half a centimeter of ice,
which is very unusual for Victoria.
Like it was ice that actually had like I don't know how to explain those little. They look like barbs that stick up.
Yeah, because of the wind.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, because I was really having to scrape the cars off this morning.
Well, thank you for doing it.
But that's going full circle. I warmed them up, and rather than wasting a bunch of gasoline, I actually put a little portable heater in them, and heat them that way.
Yeah, it melts all the ice. The other thing was with the museum. The nice thing was we went pretty late at night, so it was very quiet out. Yeah, I didn't have to deal with people or traffic noise or anything. It was really good.
Yeah, it's a little quieter, and you know, you get more of a sense of the presences that are there.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really good point. Like I have had people say, "Oh, did you go to such and such a place? It's super haunted," and I'll go there during the day or whatever, and I won't feel anything. I'm like, oh, whatever. But if you go there at night or when the building is empty. Yeah. And it's just you and maybe a couple people you know really well, that's when you can pick up on the other energy.
Yeah.
It's when everything else is gone. Because what it took me so long to realize, because apparently I'm not that bright, was we all have kind of an energy signature we give off.
Yeah.
So if you're in the house, a lot of times you can walk into your home and know if someone else is home.
Yeah.
Not because they're making any noise. You just know. You just sense it.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of deal. And so... going to these places, I think especially at the police museum, it did feel like someone was like looking out the window at us. Like there was definitely something
that's
that
right.
was...
Yeah, I felt like I was being watched.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to stick with the car though, because
street people.
Making sure that people aren't bugging, so I stuck with the car.
Don't want to go in there and find two homeless guys going at it in the back seat. What was that movie? What was the movie where that was? Oh, the other guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And they stole his Prius.
A Prius?
Yeah. And they had sex in the back seat. And they left a note saying like, "Thanks for the F Shack, Dirty Mike and the boys." That's going to be our Prius.
No, it's not going to be our Prius. Yeah. And then the craziest thing happens. So I know one of the local dealerships that I deal with all the time is...
Are you doing another car story?
This
Jason,
is insane.
We have to get to this story.
Yeah, fair enough.
That being said...
Sorry, it's my autism. I go on something really exciting like that, and I'm just like, I just kind of derail.
I know, and that's why I'm here.
My spirit.
It's I'm here.
I'm always on the road of life.
Yep. Yes, you are weaving all over the place.
That's crazy.
And but we will head off into the dark hallways awaiting us, and we'll be right back after story time.
Yeah, right after these messages. Isn't that how it goes?
No. And if you do a car commercial, I'll punch you in the face.
No, not even remotely.
All right. The Vancouver Police Museum, pretty interesting place. We're downtown, and we've got the Vancouver Police Museum and the Art Gallery. I'm doing the Police Museum here, and I'm just going to do the Art Gallery right after rather than go to try and do both. But it's it's a pretty intense place. The building it's substantial, but you definitely don't feel like you're not being watched, that's for sure. The Vancouver Police Museum, established in 1986 for the force's centenary celebration, houses and displays artifacts that give us a glimpse into the history of the police and the cases they worked on for over 125 years of Vancouver's history. The museum is housed in the former Coroners Court Building, designed in 1932 by city architect Arthur J. Bird. Coroners Court was a place with morgue facilities where autopsies and forensic testing could be done to investigate any death that was deemed unusual or criminal in some way. The building has seen the outcome of many bizarre, violent, heartbreaking, random, and planned deaths, so it's not all that surprising that it has managed to hold on to some of the energy that passed through it over the years. It was even used as a hospital briefly after the Battle of Ballantine Pier in 1935, which involved a strike that got ugly and resulted in many people being injured. Mostly, however, this temporary hospital was not a place of healing, but a place of the dead, a place for them to tell their last story through the hands of the coroners and lab techs who worked to find answers. Sometimes, energy gets left behind in such environments, for various reasons. But I will concede that not everyone is going to agree on this point. Museum volunteer Rob Murray had reason to question the concept of the residual paranormal energy of a place when he volunteered at the museum for approximately 6 months. His role was to assist in the digitization and organization of the records, as well as the physical space. But the museum director at the time always insisted that there were no ghosts at the site. This kind of ties in with my theory about, is a place haunted? Depends on the current manager. Apparently, there had been other volunteers who had experienced things as well, but as is often the case, those in charge decided to take the official position that the museum was not haunted. It would be nice if that made a difference to the ghosts. They claimed that since this was a place where they solved crimes, there would be closure, so therefore no ghosts. Yeah, because that's how that works. In my experience, people in management resort to outright denial for various reasons. One is personal conviction. Essentially, they don't believe in that sort of thing, so naturally there could be no ghosts, as they don't believe they exist. Another reason is that they're pretty sure there's something happening, but they don't want to scare away visitors or volunteers, so they claim there are no ghosts and let the visitors and staff figure it out, or at least decide for themselves. Or it's a simple matter of being terrified of the whole concept of ghosts, so they resort to denial to cope with or escape their fear. I must admit that I'm often most intrigued by those who choose firm non-belief based on personal conviction, because generally they end up having the most profound paranormal experiences, such as a face-to-face encounter with the resident energy. I've seen many instances when those individuals are forever changed. The museum was divided into 3 main areas. The 3rd floor, open to the public, used by all, where the majority of the museum collection is housed and displayed. The 2nd floor was the storage for the gift shop, generally off limits to the public, and the place where Rob was working the most on his own. The 1st floor, the basement really, was where the morgue and autopsy rooms were. This is where the general hands-on practice of pathology would happen. There was even a blood drawing room, because that's not creepy. In general, the 2nd floor was the most notorious for being the creepiest part of the building, as no one had any reason to go into the basement and garage for the creepiness factor there. Volunteers would generally run up to the 2nd floor storage to get what was required for the gift shop, but no one hung around there, and most left by running down the stairs, even though the reason for the hurry was never discussed. In the basement, there were more storage of different items, including old uniforms from long-past officers, as well as some records and artifacts. There were also murder weapons, not on display, but perhaps carrying their own dark energy. No one in the museum had much of a reason to go down there, and they didn't if they could avoid it. The museum floor, the 3rd floor, was never a problem. Everything seemed relatively normal up there. But the 2nd floor, previously a CSI lab, now used for storage, and Rob's work area, was different. Rob felt uneasy up there. He always had a vague sense of being watched or observed, even though it was now just a storage area. It was a very noisy building with lots of creaks and bangs. And though you could chalk that up to it being an old structure, Rob says that at night the atmosphere changed. If anything, the building became louder, and that sense of being watched intensified. When he worked on digitizing After Dark, he would try to avoid his uneasy feelings by putting his headphones on to block the sounds. But it didn't always work. Sometimes the noises were just too loud. One night, just after darkness had fallen, Rob's feeling of being watched was so intense that he felt like he was intruding on someone's personal space, as if he was in someone's way, and they were not pleased to have him there. It was so strong that the feeling seemed to seep out of the walls. Rob lasted an extra hour and then had to go. There was no way he was going to be able to concentrate on anything. As he left, he mentioned to the administrator, who was working on another floor, that he was thoroughly creeped out and that he was leaving. The administrator was not surprised and agreed that it was creepy after dark. Eventually, the reputation of the site inspired an investigation by Cornerstone Paranormal. While the findings were shocking, they did provide some extra insight into the building itself. For example, in one formerly used area where a receptionist would have sat, people had complained about feeling like someone was with them when they were alone. The investigators measured a significant cold spot in that area, and when they asked questions aloud addressing any potential entities, the K2 meter, a device used to measure electrical energy and translate it into light patterns, responded to a yes or no questions by increasing or decreasing the brightness of the device's lights. They also measured the cold area, moving from left to right and hovering over the desk. Was this a former employee who, as far as they were concerned, were still employed at the Coroners Building? The investigators also measured some K2 reactions in a closet in a side office, as if something was trying to hide from them. The closet had no wiring near it and was on an outside wall, so the meter was reading something that was not conventionally explainable. They also had reactions from the energy when questions were asked aloud, and the K2 meter lit up in response. There is a secondary or overflow morgue in the building. It was only used once. When the Second Narrows Bridge, renamed the Ironworkers Memorial Bridge, collapsed during construction in 1957, it sent 75 workers almost 30 meters down into the water below. 19 workers died in that collapse, and the dead overwhelmed the regular morgues. Everyone felt a presence in the former secondary morgue. There was always a cold spot over the autopsy tables and some activity on the SLS camera. Additionally, there were noises and activity in one of the laboratories that could not be attributed to anything physical, and an EVP was caught in the main morgue. EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena, which refers to voices which can't be heard with your ears alone, but can be captured and heard in a digital recording. The voice came in response to an investigator climbing into one of the body cabinets and lying down in the tray. The EVP told him to get out. If this was the energy of a former staff member, I'm sure they would not have found the sight of a living person climbing into the drawer for the dead very amusing or acceptable at all. My own time in the museum was admittedly unremarkable in terms of the paranormal. Is there energy there? Undoubtedly. But during opening hours and in public spaces, the energy pulls back. But given Rob's accounts, I'm sure it would change after dark and in the private, forgotten places that fill this building. As with most older buildings, the Vancouver Police Museum comes with a history, and given its origin story, it's not surprising it has an extra dose of energy. Add to that the residual energy of people seeking justice and solving crimes over the years, and its overall connection to grieving families, and it's reasonable to assume that the Vancouver Police Museum is haunted. All in all, it's a fascinating place to visit, and it provides an intriguing glimpse into Vancouver's past. The Vancouver Art Gallery. If you happen to read Victoria's Most Haunted, you'll know the name Francis Mawson Rattenbury, the architect responsible for most of the notable buildings in Victoria's Inner Harbor. He lived a very colorful life, and after his demise, he returned to haunt at least two of the notable buildings he built, including the Legislature Building and the Empress Hotel. Why do I bring him up? Well, Rattenbury was a busy and popular architect, and he was also responsible for the design of the British Columbia Provincial Court Building in downtown Vancouver. The building that now houses the Vancouver Art Gallery started out as the province's courthouse. From the time of its completion in 1911 until 1979, when its last case was heard. In 1983, the gallery took up residence, and while plans for a new building are in the works, the museum continues to operate out of its stately structure and everything that comes with it. Believe me when I say there's a lot more that comes with this building than meets the eye. Rumors about the building being haunted have long circulated. How could they not? It's a museum. History has shown time and again that it's standard for such institutions to be haunted. It makes sense. They are spotlit places with shadowy edges, with objects collected from all over the world in many different circumstances that may or may not have energy attached, not to mention the sheer output of emotion invested in some of these works of art, either by the people who create them or through the response of those viewing them. All of these factors make for a formidable combination in terms of spirit or energy activity. In the same way, courthouses filled with drama, joy, angst, terror, and fury would leave an indelible mark on the spiritual atmosphere of any building that houses these trials that are necessary to keep society running. So, putting an art gallery in a former courthouse? Double whammy indeed. This building, lovely as it is, does not disappoint when it comes to supernatural activity. As I've said before, when writing a book of ghostly tales, one needs to interview two groups of people, night cleaners and security guards, and luckily for us, our stories involve both. Speaking on condition of anonymity, two individuals told me about their time in the museum. It's worth noting that these are people who are not particularly sensitive to spiritual energy. One of these individuals, a fellow named Dave, a man in his mid-60s, he's exceptionally youthful in mindset and behavior. He's open to new experiences, but he would never describe himself as a diehard believer. Dave was a security guard in the building for many years, before finally retiring 3 years ago. Willing to accept the unknown as just that, Dave had many encounters in the building and even tried to help some of the puzzling events that happened there. Dave had been asked to figure out what was going on with the paperwork on people's desks, which was regularly getting messed up during off hours. Most offices have a standard policy that cleaners are never to touch the desks for obvious reasons of confidentiality and to generally avoid interfering with workspaces. The same policy applied to the cleaning crew at the gallery. In spite of all this, the desks in the offices close to the back entrance of the building were constantly left in disarray. Staff were nearly convinced that someone was deliberately messing things up to throw them off their jobs, as some of the paperwork appeared to be almost hidden on the desk. Security staff had been asked to look into this, and Dave was one of those involved. There were no cameras in those offices. It's at this point in the recording that it turns out the H8 failed, and so you're stuck without the rest of the story. So I'm going to pick it up from there. There were no cameras in those offices, but there were on the entrances and exits of the building. The cameras revealed that even when some of the office staff left after the cleaning staff, the desks were still getting messed up, even though no one else had been in or out of those areas. It made no sense. Why would a ghost feel the need to mess up the paperwork on people's desks in an art gallery? It turns out that historically, this is the area where the prisoners would have been let into the courthouse to be taken to the holding area on the day of their trials. Perhaps whatever was messing up the papers on the gallery's employees' desks assumed it was interfering with the papers for court cases or trials, and thus creating a convenient delay in the proceedings. Regardless of the reason, the case was never solved, and the messy desk problem continues to this day. Most employees know to simply lock everything up in a drawer when leaving for the night to avoid the problem altogether. Dave also shared a story about the former courtrooms on the second floor. As he was doing his nightly patrols, he was up near those rooms, and he always got a bit of an odd feeling. It was nothing distinctly good or bad, there was just a perceptible energy there. One night the feeling was different, and strong enough that he was convinced he was going to find somebody in there. As he approached the rooms, he saw a man in a black robe leave one of the rooms, cross the hall, and disappear. Dave was really startled. He was as solid as you or me, he told me. He was so shocked to see the man walk out of the courtroom and then promptly disappear that he didn't even have time to make a noise. Dave, ever conscientious and with his heart pounding, checked the entire area, but he discovered nothing out of the ordinary. Unsurprisingly, the basement is where the heaviest paranormal activity occurs to this day. There used to be cells down there where prisoners would have been held, and it appears that some of these prisoners still linger. Dave would routinely have to go down there as part of his patrols, and he said that more often than not he left the area much quicker than he entered it. He disliked going down there for any reason, and he said there wasn't a single security guard that didn't share the same feeling. Some would talk about their experiences, others would not, but no one liked going down there. There was never one particular incident down there that made him uneasy. It just always had a heavy, brooding, dark energy. So many times there were unexplained noises, and not just those of a big old building with large boilers working away. Boilers don't make the sound of footsteps coming from behind. You can't blame utilities on the sound of voices yelling or speaking quickly and angrily, or muttering unintelligibly. Over the years, when Dave was down in the basement, he consistently experienced all these things. Sometimes it wasn't just auditory manifestations. Sometimes shadows would move or dart around, mostly peripherally, sometimes right in front of his face. Dave went on to tell me about someone he'd shared his experiences with over the years. A former cleaner we'll call Cheryl. Dave and Cheryl bonded like war buddies when it came to the energy in the building. Unlike Dave, Cheryl was not only a believer, but had some strong psychic abilities that let her understand and sense far more about the building than Dave could. In some ways, Dave said he was thankful for his relative insensitivity, as he's not sure he could have done his job if he'd had the same insights as Cheryl. Cheryl is a petite woman in her mid-50s with a huge amount of energy and an engaging smile. She's a dedicated, no-nonsense type of person who accepts her abilities and gifts and has learned to trust the insight they've given her. There is a trustworthiness to Cheryl that is profound, and her certainty about what she experiences and feels is refreshing. Cheryl cleaned at the museum for 3 years before she finally had to leave. She found it mentally exhausting to be there. There were many times she could turn down the volume on her intuitive abilities, but after a time, she found even that exhausting. Dave and Cheryl had begun tentatively speaking of their experiences before the investigation over the messed up desk papers had begun, and she worked with Dave during the time the investigation was happening. Cheryl felt that the entity who was creating the disturbance was a former prisoner, desperate for reprieve or maybe an appeal. As it turned out, it was Cheryl's insights that led to the possible solution for what was happening. Cheryl, too, had seen figures on the second floor, but unlike Dave, she saw them more consistently. The only one that bothered her was an angry, dangerous male presence that hung around the hallways. If Cheryl was up there by herself, she would visualize a protective white light around herself that seemed to keep him away from her, but she much preferred working as part of a team when she could. Dave took Cheryl down into the basement one evening to show her the area and see what she could sense. Alarmingly, she told Dave that not only was the basement a dangerous place energy-wise, but also that he shouldn't go down there at all, and that if he had to, he should not linger. This, of course, did nothing to soothe Dave's already jangled nerves about the area. He followed Cheryl's advice as much as he could, never lingering in the basement. Not that he had before, but now he made sure to get out of there as quickly as possible. As someone who writes ghost stories, I found Cheryl and Dave fantastic to talk to. I especially appreciated how they were able to corroborate previously told stories about the building. It's not a shock that a public building in which important life-changing events take place, while now acting as a container for massive amounts of emotional energy, would be haunted. There are countless examples throughout cities all over the world where this is proven over and over again. When I visited the museum, I felt energy there, without a doubt. I did not go anywhere near the basement, not just because it scared me to death, but also I wasn't allowed. Even in the public areas of the museum, I didn't feel alone. Do the spirits that are left there still feel like they can change their fate? Do they know their time has come and gone? Are they hoping for a different end to their story if they just hang around long enough? I'm not sure. One thing I am sure of, however, is that there's far more to the Vancouver Art Gallery than just what it has on display. And now we'll head back to where Jason and I were recording in the first place. Here we go. All right, and here we are back after the stories. What did you think?
It was good. You did such a good job.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. That means
Lots
you
of
actually
goings-ons.
There's a lot of goings on,
and I think part of it has to do with the fact that it's like a double whammy, being an old courthouse with the whatchamacallit, the cells below, and of course you got the crims.
Yeah.
And then later on you have the people wanting to maybe steal the art or protect the art. So you have two sides of the same coin, ironically enough.
Well, and it seems that any building that has had cells in it at one time gets that. Like I know that the old City Hall in Calgary used to double as the jail. and they hear noises down in that basement too.
Well, it reminds me of that one episode on the other side we were watching. You know, the one where you can stay at his jail as a B&B.
My goodness,
but
yes.
you stay in the cells?
Isn't that in Ontario? Was it Ontario?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No, because I mean,
it's an Airbnb. You can actually go there on Airbnb. I looked it up.
Not a joke, but
and I'm not doing it.
And if I remember right, the two brothers. This is
yes,
the
two
mother
brothers
that were
killed
set up by the mother.
Yes, she murdered somebody and had her two sons.
They committed the murder.
They committed it?
Yes, she convinced them to.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
yes.
she convinced them to, and they were
hanged.
Executed.
Yeah, they were hanged,
and they didn't know they were gone.
No,
but they certainly showed up in the investigation, and so did she.
And they were very angry at their mother.
It had to do with that baby or something, some sort of.
Yeah, it was a plot to get money from the family, and the baby died.
Oh my gosh! No! They were out to steal a baby because she kept lying to people about being a mother and constantly going after these guys I think she had slept with.
Yeah.
And then they had to actually literally go and steal a baby to prove to one of the guys that she had a baby.
And the baby died.
No.
Yeah, I think it died.
They killed the family.
To get the baby.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, long story short, that's why
we're the worst recounters of stories.
That one was very intriguing to me because of the fact that, there's the cells, and every time I see cells now or think about these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, and honestly, like you look how bleak they are.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
It's
especially the old cells.
I mean, you just get this shiver down your spine. But in that, whatever that thing was, that B&B that's a former prison is scary.
I don't know if I would stay there. I mean, what does everybody think? Would you guys want to stay in a former jail?
Yeah,
but sleep in the cells.
You sleep in the cells.
Is that something you think?
I don't.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I want to do that.
But I feel bad for the guard too, right? Because he got freaked out.
Oh yeah,
at the art gallery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Like those
Sorry, I bounce around a bit.
I know, but no, those people in the stories. I mean, when I talk to them, a lot of them are kind of like what I hear a lot is, well, I don't believe in ghosts, but. Yeah. This happened to me. Those guys were pretty open, but a lot of times that's how I will hear those ghost stories. Is that how that's how people will share them? Is I don't believe in ghosts, but I had this happen.
Yeah,
and they know they can't explain it, and they know it's weird.
Yeah,
but they just know they've experienced something odd.
Yeah,
and I think if you started talking to people, pretty much every single person on the planet has experienced something they can't quite explain.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But it doesn't happen enough or on a regular basis to make it a real issue.
Well, I was talking to that lady at the Super Bowl party. Brad's neighbors across the street.
Oh, yeah, I didn't meet her.
And she said that she's not a believer, but now she questions because I explained, these circumstances happen, right? They happen to us all the time, but if we don't really pay attention to them, we just kind of become ignorant to the fact. And I actually believe that we all do experience it, but it's our level of openness to the bump in the night or this or that or things being moved, right? I mean, it's intriguing because she actually said, you know what, I'm a lot more receptive to it since I told her my experiences in the stories.
Yep.
And she said, wow, maybe there is something in our house. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised because of that huge monster, that old beast that's only 2 doors away from them.
Yeah, the big old manor house.
That one's huge and very old and very haunted.
Yeah. And I mean,
because all these houses right there are literally its old, big stomping ground yards.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, when I go to sleep, I have to have a noise machine on because when I start hearing noises, I don't want to hear them. And that's why the cat sleeps outside of our bedroom. He wanders around the house at night, because then if I hear anything, I can go, oh, just the cat.
Yeah, but
I don't want to hear him
on occasion.
Yeah.
Very
Oh no,
upset.
I've heard him yowl sometimes. I think something passes through for sure. But I can always go, oh, he's just mad about not getting food, or he can't get his toy, and then I can fluff it off. No, that's honestly what I do, because if I sat there and thought about it, I think I wouldn't.
We
I
probably would not be able to
sleep.
sleep.
No,
I get it.
so it's just easier for me.
That's why I keep shutting the door in our new bathroom.
Yeah, you don't like it.
No.
See, and it doesn't bother me.
No,
which is weird.
There's something in there.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because which side of the closet was it that I was in bed?
I know that you heard the rattling.
It was in that side.
I know.
I heard the hangers,
but I
knocking
always
together.
feel like something's watching me.
Interesting.
But you're on the other side of the bed.
Yeah, that's true. It's not that close.
That's why I have to keep closing that door.
Wow.
I know you hate it closed because you have to open it, but you always leave it open, and it wakes me up.
Wow. Well, do you know what I've done the last 2 nights?
Hmm?
I go to that bathroom.
Yeah,
I go to the main bathroom. I don't even use the one in my room.
Yeah, no, I'm glad, because whatever weird thing is in the shower just stares at me.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to light some sage and
I don't know.
Get it out of there.
I don't know. It's odd.
Time to move.
I brought the I don't know. I brought the set
EMF meter?
meter in there, and it doesn't go off, but
No.
I won't bring it in there when I wake up.
Right.
Maybe
Well,
I should.
no, because if you start communicating with something, you have a responsibility. So you need to and I told you this, you need to set it up properly. You need to set up the boundaries.
Yes.
You need to set up the protection, and then you can try and engage it.
Yeah,
you don't want to just whip it open and turn it on and be like, hey, anything here? You want to chat?
No,
Because
thanks. No.
then you have no control over that
That's
situation.
fair. Yeah,
right?
but I mean, whatever that thing is might be wandering, because it doesn't make sense that Randy is quiet and content most nights, but other nights he sounds like he's dying.
Well, I told you, I think
What is
something
up with that?
Something passes through here.
I agree.
I don't think it stays in the house. I don't think the house is haunted.
He starts howling. He wakes us up.
Yeah, he has done that.
And he's like, it's loud. And it's exceptionally loud. Like it's not this mild thing. It's like he's actually thrown himself a couple of times at our door.
Well, and that's the weird part, because he doesn't care. He stays downstairs.
No, that's right.
And most of the time, if I get up and go to the bathroom, he doesn't come upstairs.
No.
But on some nights, he's pretty desperate to get in there. And I would let him, but he has no respect or personal space.
That's
I will
right.
not
He just
have
steps all over
I will
us.
not have a cat paw go in my mouth in the middle of the night. I'm not doing it.
He's just
The dog is quiet, polite, sleeps at the end.
Yeah.
A little light snoring, which is acceptable of a dog from his age.
Yeah.
But he's very polite, very, respectful of boundaries. Randy, no.
He just stomps all over us.
And I have enough time, enough trouble sleeping anyway.
If you guys have like a Siamese, they have dainty little feet. Well, when he's a beast,
Not Chunk. That's our nickname for him.
You feel those dainty little feet when they step on your stomach or your chest.
Jason will put his legs up on the coffee table while we're watching TV, and Randy's favorite thing to do is stretch out along Jason's legs. But after about half an hour, Jason is like, oh, you gotta get off. You're too heavy. My knees.
He's a beast.
We do not have a dainty.
But I do believe he definitely
Siamese.
senses things in this house.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it comes from that. For me, it's whenever you leave the door open to that washroom, I don't.
Okay. Well, no, I have been trying to close it afterwards, but no, it's better if I just...
No, I will literally wake up.
But during the day, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've never felt anything in there during the day.
It's at night.
Interesting.
It's bizarre. I don't know why. Maybe that guy's back.
Nah, I'm not feeling it.
I don't know.
No.
It's weird. But yeah, we've come, we're back to focusing on Damon, but this kind of draws the thing for me, like talking about cells and potentially sleeping in them.
Yeah, no,
not for me.
No,
I don't believe I can do it.
I've been in enough haunted hotel rooms where I got no sleep, so I can't imagine paying to sleep in a prison cell where I know there's creepy, weird things going on. It's just not going to happen.
Where was that one that we had that we felt something in the corner? Which hotel was that?
Oh, that was downtown Vancouver. And we both felt it, but we didn't talk about it till the morning.
That was the one I got with my Marriott points, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right
because he was in the corner, whatever that thing was. Yes, that's right. It was downtown Vancouver.
Most hotels have some kind of ghost in them. It's like a luck of the draw if you get a haunted room or not.
But no joking aside, like all kidding aside, we talked about the next day. I said it was in the furthest corner from the bed, and Ian said I felt it there too. And
actually, you said there was something in the corner, and I went that one. Yeah. And I got the exact same corner you're talking about.
Yes.
So yeah, no, for sure. And that does happen. I've been in a couple hotel rooms like that where there was something very unhappy. We were in the room.
Maybe it's one of those ones where a person has decided to be finished with themselves.
People will complete suicide quite often in hotel rooms because they want to spare their families.
Yeah.
And that's why. It's very sad, but they want to spare their family, make sure their family aren't going to find them.
And then back to jail cells, it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Usually waiting for, I don't know what, but those two boys were convicted and hung.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, at the jail.
And, and capital punishment was a thing in the past, 100%. Right? I mean, it's not a,
well, it still is
about rehabilitation. That's true.
Still
it
is
totally
in a lot of places, not in Canada, but
not in Canada.
In other places. And it's, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's a cut and dried answer. I think, but I also think we need to err on the side of caution when it comes to capital crime.
And if you do sense a spidey sense in you, listen to it. It's not dumb.
Yeah.
It is not dumb.
We have instincts for a reason. We've been trained to not listen to them.
Yes,
but
because it's illogical,
right? But you need to listen to them. They're there for a reason.
We're taught to be, debits and credits and positives and minuses, and
no, there's way more, way more than that.
That's what I'm saying. Our experience on the other side was
the TV show,
life-changing. Yeah,
the TV show. Just in case you haven't heard the other episodes.
No.
But no, it was absolutely. It was a good experience.
That was shocking.
That was a long time ago now.
It's hard to believe.
I know. Speaking of dead people, no, just kidding. That was a terrible segue. I wanted to thank our lovely patrons.
Our very alive people.
Yeah, our alive patrons, as far as we know. All the people who are so kind to us and support us monthly on our Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/ghostsandbears.
Yeah, Ghosts and Bears.
That's and we have all different tiers there. But bottom line, if you get the lowest tier, you do get ghost stories we have heard that we put out every week when there isn't a regular episode.
Yes, we'll tell stories. We're usually driving, so think of it like it's
going on a road trip with Jason and Ian.
Yeah,
it is.
You'll hear me honk once in a while just for fun.
Yeah, you'll hear when we pull over for ice cream.
The dog's usually with us, but he's very quiet.
He loves the car. He does.
He just
Well, he does what he does most of the time: sleep.
He lumps.
He
sleeps.
Yeah, he's a full lumper.
But anytime we get out of the car, then it's ironic because every time we get out of the car, suddenly he's awake and he's looking around.
Yeah,
you see this cute little head looking over the dash.
Yeah, he's very funny. But we want to thank all those lovely patrons. Depending on the tier you get, there's stickers involved, Ghosts and Bears t-shirt,
all this jazz.
Ghosts and Bears coffee mug.
Get your merch.
Sign up today. We would love to have you join us on there. And it's those people supporting us that allow us to do things like buy these beautiful new mic stands that actually work.
Yeah,
Holy
they're way better.
cow.
They're way better.
What a difference.
I'm not feeling like I'm craning my neck.
It was so bad before.
It was weird. I got good ones, but they're not like this.
No, these are really good.
These are fabulous.
The only reason we could get these was because our patrons paid for them.
And they're solid. And you can move them.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm trying to read around them anymore.
No, I know. They're great. Me too.
Odd positioning thing.
And I can now look at you while we're doing this.
That's right. Yeah, we can look at each other.
And before we couldn't do that. Yeah.
No, because the boom was basically right in our face.
Oh, so annoying.
You couldn't see.
No, and you couldn't turn it or adjust it.
It was annoying.
So it's a lot better now. So we want to thank those lovely patrons. And they are and include Robin.
Amos. My apologies, Amos. Yeah, I have brand new glasses.
Oh yeah, we both do. That was the other thing we did. We got new glasses
finally.
Maria.
Gina,
Sharon,
Dawn,
Adam,
Bryce,
Sherry,
Brooks,
Marion,
Kathleen,
Alexa,
Debbie,
Ruth,
Mary Frances,
Gina and Victoria,
Sandy,
Christopher,
David,
Ashley,
Jeremiah,
Elizabeth,
Phoebe Nix,
Jordan,
Tammy,
James,
Taya,
Evan,
Arwen,
Steve,
Kyle and Charlotte,
Catherine,
Myri.
and Mary. Yes, thank
And
you.
we need to start making merch for dogs. We really need to get on that bandwagon.
Maybe we can get Evan.
Evan,
Who is a patron. Maybe we can get Evan in on that. He can maybe whip up some little Ghosts and Bears capes for dogs.
Yeah, we really need to get on that because you know what? I think it would be fun. I know how much he loves clothes for animals.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say we touched briefly on this talking to Chris and Alex about the TV show. We actually came up with a bit of a timeline. We're gonna do most of the actual video recording in April.
Oh, good.
Yeah, late March, early April, and then because we can do the voiceovers whenever.
Yeah, fabulous.
So we're gonna do the videoing late March, early April, and then we're aiming for an October release to Shaw, the channel that's sponsoring this.
This will be fun.
And then there's going to be 5 initial episodes.
Stay tuned. And we'll be looking to possibly travel back east this
We're hoping
fall.
Yeah.
So lots of flights, lots of more on the ground, and I'm looking
out
forward
to the
to
Maritimes.
That's in the works.
Yeah.
It's not officially approved yet, but
we're hopeful.
We're hopeful.
We'll find out.
But if not, then I guess we can head south and southwest a bit.
That's totally not going to help the Canada book.
Well, true.
Maybe we can get one of those like super cheap flights, like where they're like $39 to Toronto return.
You probably have to go to the States for that.
No. They have them on like Swoop and stuff.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
Oh, those things. Yeah.
You probably have to fly standing up, holding onto a like on a subway. You know those roof things.
Oh my
have to hold onto a rack.
Yeah. And the Swoop they save fuel by just flying straight up into the air to altitude.
Pretty much.
Ian's been on a couple of planes in his life.
In Myanmar.
Yeah. They don't fly for comfort. They fly for fuel economy.
And it was
it's like wham, straight up.
You're pretty sure you're gonna die.
Actually, I think Ian was shocked because we took a flight out of Terrace recently.
Oh, not recently. It was like 2 years ago now.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
It was. Think about it. It was 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh, COVID. Yeah. Anyways, I told him sometimes the flights out of Terrace, if they take it the other way where there's a mountain, it's literally straight up.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like straight up."
It was just I was having flashbacks to Myanmar.
He was like, "Wow." And I said, "Yeah, if they take it because of the wind going the one way because they want lift,
it's pretty terrifying.
Straight up.
It's pretty terrifying.
It's a little unnerving because it feels like you're almost laying down."
So if you're listening to this fresh off the press, which would be tonight at midnight, this drops. So February 15th, and you would like to come and hang out with us, we are going to be at the Fan Expo for sure on the Sunday afternoon in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And that yeah, for sure the Sunday afternoon. And I know we're already going to see a few people there, Bryce and Lisa's going to be there and Thomas, so we'll see some people, so that'd be good.
And then Chris is coming next week.
Yeah, our friend Chris is coming next week.
He'll be flying in. Yay.
Yeah, so lots going on. So
things are happening.
We will have lots of exciting news, I'm sure, for the next episode. But until
maybe
then,
a car will flip or two.
Oh, Jesus.
Just terrible.
Until then, we want to say thank you so much for listening. You guys are the best. We appreciate you letting us ramble like this and get into these metaphysical discussions. But until then, next time, you're looking for a podcast or someone says, "Hey, you got a new podcast for me?" Tell them about Ghosts and Bears, because we are the only podcast that gives you the actual ghost story
with the actual history
in the actual place,
or from the actual place. But I think sometimes we're there.
It's all good
when we can be.
That's right. So thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, night, evening, whatever it is.
Happy post Valentine's Day.
Absolutely, and remember to reach out to us. We're on Instagram. Ghosts and Bears.
Technically, when this drops, it could still be Valentine's Day in Hawaii.
Oh, jeez.
Or Alaska.
Okay, sure.
Alaska and Hawaii. So, happy Valentine's Day in the
my
past or the future or
You're
whatever.
insane. All right, friends. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening. And we will catch up with you soon
Stay safe.
on Ghosts and Bears. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.
Bye.